We're recording. Yay. And this
All
is this
right.
I never thought of a name for this thing, but it's fun.
Andy watches movies.
Yeah.
That's a horrible name.
On Zoom
On
with a
Zoom.
friend.
Zoomies.
Yeah.
Zoomies. So today the horror movie we watched was Child's Play. The original,
Yay.
the 1988?
88, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, and John, all my guests picked the movie. Is there any particular reason you picked this one?
I, being John Robert Wilson, picked
Yes,
this
yes.
one.
This is my guest, John Robert Wilson, friend.
Sorry, going great.
Yeah, right.
You know what? Honestly, the reason why I picked this one is because I watch it at least once a year.
Yeah.
Two, okay, three reasons. That was the first reason. Two, it's only an hour long, so it's the perfect watch with a friend movie because it's only an hour long commitment, which is amazing. There's like no such thing as an hour long movie anymore unless it's a fucking kids movie.
Yeah.
And three, it's free to watch on YouTube and Amazon Prime.
Yes.
So it's just it's a winning combination, a lethal three punch kick knee to your jugular, ready to take you to old 80s nostalgia town.
Yeah. I also will say I don't think I've seen 2 or 3. But
Really?
yeah, I don't think I've seen 2 or 3. I've seen the first one I saw was Bride of Chucky. And I just saw Child's Play 1.
They completely
last year.
changed in tone and plot and everything else.
Yes, they get sillier.
It gets really, really silly to the point where Chucky is like the protagonist.
Yes.
And I think the plot line of all the movies up until 3 or 4 is that he needs to get out of the doll's body and into a regular body.
Yeah.
That's his motivation. But then eventually he just kind of like accepts his fate. He's like, wait a minute, I just want to be Chucky the murdering doll. And that's what he decides to do.
The interesting thing for me about this movie is that when I was a kid, when it came out, I was
so scary.
It was such a scary movie. I had a ventriloquism dummy that I was afraid of because of this movie. This movie just like scared me so much, and like it was forever until I actually saw this one for the first time last year, and I was like so surprised how like. I mean, the first half of this movie is like kind of a thriller and a mystery kind of movie.
Suspense thriller, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. It's such a fun movie. I can't believe I was so scared of seeing it. At one point, it just became a habit where I just didn't see it.
Well, the visuals in it were unprecedented at the time. So, like the really mean, quick cut to the real mean faces that the doll made, and they quick cut to it.
Yes.
That left a lot to the imagination. So that's what scared people back then.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of, is it like Das Boot? It's not like, it is, but it is such a fine, iconic movie, though. It
Absolutely.
is pretty great.
You know, you were saying something during the film that I thought that was pretty interesting. You were, it's obvious that this film, the Chucky character, is an homage to all like the My Buddy characters or My Buddy toys and stuff. I would say Chucky or the good guy dolls in this universe are a combination of Teddy Ruxpin and My Buddy.
Yes.
Right? Because My Buddy didn't talk, but Teddy Ruxpin did. So they just made like a talking human instead of a talking bear.
Yeah, yeah.
Those were like the rage.
Yeah.
The thing that you said though is that this icon, which was paying homage to Teddy Ruxpin and My Buddy, has outlasted them.
Yes.
He's a bigger cultural pillar than those toys ever were, I think.
Yeah.
Will be.
It is really interesting for that reason. It's like Garbage Pail Kids. I know Cabbage Patch Kids were still really popular, but Garbage Pails just kind of took on a life of their own and became their own thing to a certain degree.
Kids love gross stuff.
Yeah.
Kids love stuff that like grown-ups would get angry at. Like, oh, that's so gross that my parents get angry. That makes me want it even more, you know?
Yeah. But I kind of always imagined that this was like, I always pictured these movies being this was bloody, but it wasn't as bloody and gory as I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Which is kind of
The other
interesting.
ones are even more gratuitous with their gore and blood and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
so it
just
gets a
aren't
little, like I
ridiculous.
said, but it gets like kind of sillier. I
Hmm.
think it goes along with the idea, and it gets a little more tongue in cheek. This is played very straight. I feel like to all everybody who's watching this, and I don't know if anyone knows what the story is, but I guess we should surmise the story. Uh,
Okay.
Charles Lee Charles Lee Ray, like all known serial killers, done by his full three names.
Yep, that's me. Yep.
Yeah, he is this. He's the Lakeshore Strangler. He's being in the beginning. He's being chased by Chris Sarandon
A
of
policeman, a single policeman on the beat.
yes, and he's chased into a store. He's shot and fatally wounded. And in his last dying breaths, he uses some kind of black magic in the sky.
The
Sky
transfer.
cloud, the sky clouds up. Lightning hits the store, causing the toy store to
To
explode like it was
explode.
to explode like there was like TNT in there.
Hmm.
Um, and now Charles Lee Ray's soul is in the good guy My Buddy doll.
Right.
And
And
then
don't forget too, right before he went to the toy store, his getaway driver left him. He abandoned him.
yes,
But we
yes,
never really they never really reveal like what actual crime they caught him. They only say like as the opening credits are rolling, "Hey, that's the Lakeshore Strangler. Get him." And
yeah, yeah,
that's it. That's all we know, that he's a bad guy.
yeah. I recognize that guy. He's that
Yeah.
famous like,
Hey, it's the Lakeshore Strangler. Get him.
and they're like everybody. Hey, that's Jack the Ripper. You're like,
Yeah.
Usually the problem with like catching serial killers is not like physically catching them. It's like figuring out who they are.
yeah, figuring out who they are, trying to make sure. That was my wife, Lisa, giving commentary to the thing. So just in case anyone's wondering. But so his soul gets transferred to a doll. We cut to a single mom and son living in a small apartment in Chicago. This takes place in
Oh,
Chicago.
it's not that small of an apartment. It's a
No,
pretty big apartment.
it's
for what
pretty big considering that she's just like kind of this minimum wage workaday mom.
She works in a department store at a jewelry counter, I think.
Yeah, yeah, like a Macy's.
Yeah.
And she her son's birthday's coming up, and he's obsessed with the good guy dolls, and
All she can afford to give him is the shitty little accessory good guy toolkit, not the
and
actual good guy. So he's all upset.
so she strikes her friend gets a line on a homeless guy who has a good guy doll that he managed to salvage from the wreckage of the exploded toy store, sells it to her, and then she gives the doll to her son, and hijinks ensues because there's the soul of a serial murderer inside this doll that's now in the possession of this child.
Mm-hmm.
And the doll kills the babysitter, just to breeze through this plot, and kills the babysitter, and they think the son did it. And then the doll tells him to go to where
the getaway driver guy was to get revenge on him.
yeah, gets revenge on him.
What was
him.
it? Danny Caputo, is it, or Bobby,
Eddie.
or Eddie Caputo?
Caputo.
That's his name. Eddie Caputo.
And everybody starts to think it's the son, and this is where the mystery suspense element comes in, because we don't see much animation from Chucky. It's just kind of
Quick shots. Cuts, yeah.
Not even any quick shots. It's just like also from his point of view, which kind of makes the movie really interesting. And like, I'm gonna say this is one of the things where like budget limits made the movie more fun.
Because they had to get more creative with the cinematography.
Yeah, and they were like, we'll blow our whole wad with like how animated this is later.
Mm-hmm.
Like
the end.
So the son is accused of murdering those people, and they lock him up. Meanwhile, Chucky gets out. The mother figures out that Chucky's actually alive,
because he's been talking without batteries. She finds the batteries still in the box.
Yes, and then they find out that Charles Lee Ray / Chucky was into voodoo stuff. Chucky visits his voodoo guru,
Teacher.
or whoever, and he like tries to figure out how he can get out of being a doll's body and his body.
He
So,
extorts the voodoo guru with his own.
yeah,
What's
and
it called? Voodoo doll, I guess is what it's called, right?
And that scene was pretty. That was actually kind of the more weird graphic scene where Chucky the doll is breaking the voodoo guru's bones,
arms, legs,
and
and it shows it,
and it shows it, and it's pretty graphic and fun effect. But apparently there's a very specific rule where that the voodoo will like he will become a doll forever.
Right, he's becoming human.
Because he'll become a doll forever, that size and that body, I guess, forever. And the only way he can break it is the first person that he told his secret to. Very specific. Very specific.
The voodoo knows.
Yeah, the voodoo knows
rules.
that if you told the secret, whoever you told your secret to, that's who you got to transfer your body to. And so he told the young son Andy, and that's where Chucky's elated about this
because he gets to be 6 again.
He gets to be 6 again. He gets to start his whole life over. I wonder if he's like, I imagine because he's Chucky, I imagine he's like, yeah, this is being 6 again. And I don't know if he's like thinking, I get to live my life again where I could maybe make different choices.
I'm going to learn French.
Yeah, I'm going to start fresh. I'm not going to be a murderer. I think he's excited that he's going to kill more people.
Yeah, he didn't really expound on his plans on what he would do after he got back into the kid's body. Like,
yeah, I guess it's like being young again. But anyway, so Chucky has to go back to see Andy to do a body swap. And there's a big showdown at the apartment where Chucky kind of is thought to be dead numerous times, but comes back alive.
Keeps on going because they don't kill his heart, is what the voodoo guy revealed to them.
They have to shoot him. They have to get him through his heart. That's how you kill
voodoo dolls.
Voodoo doll of Chucky. Really, I mean, it's pretty simplistic and weird. There's a lot of logistical nightmare about how he manages to walk and move really fast at certain times, but not fast at others.
Yeah, and his body changes size a lot of the times because you mentioned that sometimes it's clear that they have children playing the doll. Sometimes it's clear that they have little people playing the doll. Or sometimes it's clear that they have just a very small puppet.
Yes, but still very, still a lot of really genuinely creepy moments, especially when Chucky's face contorts to like anger. It's just
when his mouth is wide open, he tries like to bite them and stuff. That's really creepy.
Scream.
Because his face is like elongated because they accentuate the fact that he's made out of plastic, so they give him almost like a cartoonish range of emotion on his doll face.
Yeah, but it is so thoroughly entertaining. I really do like this movie a lot now. I feel. I guess, but it's just so strange that I had such a fear of it for such a long time.
Yeah, I think a lot of people could say that, though, because it's still one of the iconic horror movie tropes of the 80s. I mean, what was that movie that made fun of all the horror, like Cabin in the Woods?
Oh,
Remember, one of the tropes that they had on the board was Killer Doll.
Yeah.
And I mean, what, Goosebumps has ripped off Killer Doll. The Killer Doll is like a thing now after Child's Play, and even Child's Play ran it into the ground. They ran it into the ground.
Yeah.
But
I think to spoiler alert, I guess we already did, but this movie's so old by now.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Over.
They've had so many years. The one thing, like. I think that was like a thing I kind of find disappointing, even though I do like the movie The Boy, is that the boy is actually, I kind of wanted the boy to be a possessed evil doll.
Sure.
It is in
because
the sequel.
is it?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, the point is, yeah, there's something about evil dolls that I think really strikes a chord with a lot of people.
Because everyone's had something like that, though, right?
Yeah,
And for them to pervert that little last bastion of a safe space you had as a kid, it has sort of gives you a visceral reaction. It's like that's the last place you would
yeah.
find horror, and because it's the last place, it's incredibly effective at seeding that fear into your mind.
Well, the interesting thing I think about it too is that I feel like when you're a kid, uh, I this is something I've been thinking about recently is that when you're a kid, there
Mm-hmm.
is like you have a constant need for power,
Or
like you
control, yeah,
or
or one or
control, because
both.
so
Yeah,
much of it is not so much of your life is not in your control. You have to
right.
kind of abide by all this. So when you watch cartoons and toy and play with toys, you have complete control over these people, and you feel good about that. And I think that's what people associate with dolls is that this is my doll, this is like my baby, and I control this doll, and I can do what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what kind of strikes home with a lot of people is that the idea of the doll, not you're not in control of this
Not in
doll.
control, right?
This doll is going to have its way with you. And I think that's kind of what makes it creepy is that the thing that you normally have complete control over, you don't. And I think that strikes everybody's like very childlike fear of them not having any control.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think you're hitting the nail right on the head there
Yeah.
with that description.
But I think that's what makes it kind of an interest. That's what it's all about, control and power.
Can we talk about Brad Dourif a little bit? I
Oh
mean, he's
yes,
an amazing actor, and I didn't really. It took me a while to connect his voice to this, even though I had seen him in a lot of different movies. And
yeah,
he still, even after being an actor for so long, he still does like obscure, crazy shit. Like even in the sequels to this, he still voices
yeah.
Chucky, even though how campy they get.
Well, I think
But
he's
yeah,
like,
His daughter, I think, does.
yeah. It gets the other movies get a little weirder because his daughter becomes a character. His Brad
Oh,
Dourif's daughter becomes a character in the
yeah.
movies. And at the last one, I think Cult of Chucky,
mm-hmm.
Chucky's soul goes into into his daughter, the actress,
Right.
and she has like a love affair with Jennifer Tilly, who was
Right, who plays herself in the
yeah,
movies
and it like
and the other dog.
that's just kind of creepy in general because it's Brad Dourif's in his own daughter's body, and I know it's not his daughter, but it's still just kind of weird.
It's creepy and weird, yeah.
But it's still fun, I guess. But Brad Dourif, the thing I think about Brad Dourif is that I think he's like one of those he's like a real actor too.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Not
like,
one of those fake ones.
well, I mean, there's like I think he's pretty like I think he has like a lot of range.
Sure.
I think he's amazing. Like the first movie I knew him from is One That Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest,
Mm-hmm.
and he's amazing in that. And he's such like a vulnerable like character in that,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like kind of meek, and then like he kind of has like he has like an arc, and then it kind of falls, and it's kind of such a powerful like performance. He's like so good in that, and then like I think he kind of played a lot of like intense crazy people after that.
I mean, yeah, he was the main villain in Blade, right?
Yeah, he's the main villain in Blade. I highly recommend. I don't recommend Exorcist 2. I feel like the real sequel to Exorcist is Exorcist 3, which
Okay.
has Brad Dourif in it. And if you're one of those people who like to see actors just like flip out and freak out, this is like that 100 times. It's just him screaming, acting like a psychotic, crazy person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he's really great in that. He's like a really great actor, and I think he also just has like an idea, like an idea of sense of fun.
Mm-hmm.
about what he's doing, and I think he likes just doing them because he thinks they're just fun to do. I think that's why he's like such a great actor, is because he's like, he's just like, I love working and I love doing weird roles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure he's done things for checks, but like,
I'm sure.
but I'm sure that these movies are kind of, I think he does like doing them, like, and I think that kind of shows.
Sure.
Um,
Oh yeah, I mean, like because everyone wants to have like their brand, and so that's his
yeah.
brand now. That's what he's. I mean, that's what you know him for. I'm sure that's completely
Yeah.
as designed. You know.
And he just probably, like, for the most part, just has to go into a studio for it.
Yeah.
Just knocks them all out. But I do respect him as, like, and he was great as Doc Cochran on Deadwood.
Yes, he was amazing as Dr. Cochran on Deadwood. He was like he was the good guy. Did you ever catch on to as to why he was in Deadwood? It's
No.
because he got accused of grave robbing because he was digging up bodies to do like
Oh yeah,
medical
yeah.
research on them
Yeah.
and stuff. So that's why he was in Deadwood.
I
He
found
was
it.
also the crazy scientist in Alien Resurrection too.
Yes. Yeah. I'm trying to think. There was one more other kind of, and
He
he's
was
also
Wormtongue. He's Wormtongue in Lord of the
yes,
Rings.
yes.
Oh yeah.
The other, and I know that, like, this one I feel like was for a check, but I think Marlon Wayans made a movie called Senseless, where he takes this potion that gives him super senses,
Mm-hmm.
and the scientist in
remember
that is Brad Dourif.
Oh, of course.
Well, I mean, he's just there just to give expository dialogue about the potion,
mm-hmm.
but you could do worse. than No, but Brad Dourif is really great. I think he deserves more accolades, and I think he kind of fell into the thing where people are like, "You're good at doing this. Let's keep having you do this."
Right.
Uh,
What was the name of the cop or the actor's name? Was Chris Sarandon, the guy
yes,
from
Chris Sarandon,
yeah, he's from
Princess Bride,
Princess Bride, right,
Princess
yes.
Bride, and he's in Fright Night and
Right.
Sentinel.
Right.
Also another great actor. This is like one of those movies where he's not playing the creepy villain.
Also was married.
Mm-hmm.
And was married to Susan Sarandon. He was great. I don't know. I forgot I feel bad, but I forgot the mom in it.
Her name is just Mom from Seventh Heaven.
It's Mom from Seventh Heaven.
Oh, the actress that played the mom in Child's Play?
Yes.
Like
Catherine Hicks, I think is her name.
She was really good too. I really. It's like, I think that was one of the things that was strong about this movie is that it's played very serious.
Yeah.
And
Looks like she was in Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home.
Okay.
And then a bunch of other sort of obscure movies. Looks like there's a Bill Murray movie she was in called The Razor's Edge. Remember that?
Oh.
And then another 90s movie called like Father Like Son. It looked like a Mike Myers movie. No. She's in a lot of dog movies too. She's in a lot of dog movies. She's like a dog lady.
There's a lot of dog movies. Someone's got to be in them.
She was also in Dillinger and Capone, which is free to stream on Amazon Prime right now.
I think there's also the guy who directed it. Yeah, he did. He also directed Fright Night. Was a writer on Fright Night, so that explains the Chris Sarandon connection. He did a lot of horror movies, Tom Holland.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this.
Isn't he Spider-Man?
No, not that one.
Not that Tom Holland. This is the.
What's crazy is, though, if I click through to Tom Holland in Child's Play, the director, it gives me all of Spider-Man movies, like the Tom Holland movie.
There was like another. He did like a lot of thriller horror movies, so I could appreciate guys who kind of just work that system well.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't as notable as Child's Play. I think Child's Play was his.
Oh yeah, no way.
His opus.
Fright Night's great.
Fright Night is pretty amazing. Have you seen that before, Fright Night?
No, I've heard all about it, but I don't think, or if I have, it's been like 20 years.
My favorite William Rhinestone.
Yes. It's pretty good. I highly recommend Fright Night, another good Tom Holland. And Don Mancini, who I think is the guy who wrote it, he wrote something else. I think he's written all of the Bride of all the Chucky movies.
Okay.
If anything, that's kind of all he's ever written, really. Yes.
I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, if you have a money printing machine.
Sure. I'm not judging him or anything. I just think it's I think it's just kind of just stick with what you know. And thank you for your service. For making...
we were asking ourselves how many times Alex Vincent, the boy that played Andy, reprised his role as Andy. So he was in Child's Play 2.
Yes.
But then he's like, fuck off, I'm not doing this anymore. And he didn't come back until The Cult of Chucky, I think it is. The Cult of Chucky.
I guess they try to relive that rule that Andy is the only person's body
that he can
inhabit it.
But I think other kids played him. I think he's played by other people.
Oh, Lisa has informed me that other people.
Perhaps.
Well, I kind of maybe this will be an ongoing series where we explore all of them.
Okay.
Or something.
If your thing is just about Child's Play.
Well, it'll be a mini series of the main series.
Yes, there's a. Well, yesterday I watched a movie with Chris Gwynn, and we watched. He recommended another horror movie on the same day that I kind of want to see now too. So.
What do you recommend? Or is that you can't tell?
What? No. It's called House on
Haunted Hill?
No. It's called House. I think that was us. The movie was called Last House on Massacre Street. Which, like, I think I saw.
I love that title, The Last House on Massacre Street.
Well, Last House on the Left was very popular. And when that was popular, they made like a lot of imitation ones. The movie was actually called something else, and then they decided to call it Last House on Massacre Street to cash in on, to convince people.
The Last House craze.
Yeah. So I'm kind of surprised this didn't spawn more like devil movies like that. Should we pause this? Do you hear the fire alarm?
I do, but I think it just adds a bit of a personal touch to the show, if you ask me. I'm sure anyone that listens
slowly
to this
getting carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah.
This is the last video of him before he suffocated.
3 devices, all
That could be.
within like a foot and a half of each other.
I
I don't know which one it is, but one of them has a light that's green.
It definitely spawned a lot of. It definitely spawned a lot of sequels. Should I help you? Should I stop? Oh no! Oh my God! This is going crazy because there's also a male person outside. A mail carrier is here, or not a mail carrier.
I think you gotta put the computer down.
All right.
Do you want to end the show, or?
Yeah, I guess I have to pause it or hold on.
No, let's just end it right here.